So good morning, everybody. Welcome to the first ARES meeting for Southern California, which includes San Diego and Imperial County for FY 2023. And I kid you not, it really does feel like we just did this a year ago. We do have a full agenda today. We have lots of things to discuss. It's also the annual EC event. So let's get it moving. With that, Dave, if you are ready, sir.
Absolutely.
We'll start off with section manager announcements, and we'll do new participant intros in a minute. That way, in case we've got some folks that are still joining the call, we'll grab them in a second. But go ahead, Dave.
All right, coming up on 21st to the 23rd is the January VHF contest, and also the 28th and 9th is Winter Field Day. So good time to be lots of people on the air. Next month, on February 11th, we have an ARES NVIS presentation by Bill K6RS. So it should help some people out with some antenna issues and so on. Other than that, nothing exciting. Other than the Volunteers on the Air event, which is going to run all year long. And I posted something on that on the website, so take a look at that. Bruce?
Very good, sir. Thank you. Rob, let's go ahead and talk about section-related and local level events. May not be ARES, but may have amateur radios and overlay. Go ahead, sir.
All right, sharing screen here. Y'all can see the shared screen.
I'm waiting for mine to update from has started screen sharing to actually seeing something.
Is it shared? Not yet?
Nope.
Now
Okay,
you're
now
up
it
on
is.
my side.
Okay, everybody can see that?
Yeah, good.
Okay, good. So yeah, obviously today we've got the January meeting R5 presentation by Randy. Randy, thanks for coming in. And part 2 of the meeting will be the annual EC and Leadership Roundtable. Next week, NVIS by Bill 1KCT. And K1CT. Thank you, Bill. And presentation ideas for the rest of the year. We're open listening. If you have any ideas, let me know. And your idea, we'll try to make happen. Future ARRL division convention. As you probably already know, the Yuma Hamfest has been canceled for February 2023 and beyond. So Yuma Hamfest is not happening anymore. They were not able to do it in Yuma anymore. So the division leadership for the Southwest, Arizona, Southern California, are looking for another convention that might be able to be adopted or adopt the division convention. One possibility that's being discussed, I haven't heard anything in the last couple of weeks about the discussions if Copa Fest. So that's in October, and there's a website. It doesn't say anything on the website. I just checked this morning. It's still just the Arizona State Convention, but that's one convention that's being considered as the division convention. A reminder that we're in the middle of our annual ARES membership verification. Most of the people in the Zoom call have already logged into the website, SDGARES.net. And just by logging in, I can see you logged in. It adds a date and timestamp to your profile, and that's considered verification for the year. If you've not yet done that, if you have any password problems, let me know. I'll do a password reset and get you into the system. And as of this morning, 92 people have verified ARES membership. We usually, that's about half of the normal people that would verify. We usually get between 150 and 200 people a year verifying their willingness to serve in case of emergency. Other training opportunities coming up later this month. We'll get the ARRL VHF contest, January VHF contest. Winter Field Day, some people participate in that. The rules are on the website, winterfieldday.com. It's not an ARRL event, but a very enthusiastic group of people that do go on the air in late January for Winter Field Day. Sandwiched between the VHF contest and the Winter Field Day. I didn't put it on the slide, but a number of people from San Diego do head out to Quartz Fest, which is near Quartzsite, Arizona. It's a 1 week long RV camping kind of event. So quartzfest.org if you want to look up details for that. Other training opportunities coming up. We've got a 1-day general upgrade class coming up on February 4th, put together by Jay Goldberg and San Diego hamclasses.com. It's the annual general upgrade class. Most of the year we do tech classes. We try to do the monthly. This is the once a year general upgrade class. So if you or somebody you know needs looking for an upgrade, a helping hand to upgrade to general, February 4th is the weekend that there's going to be the upgrade class happening, and that will be in the Poway area. Also, the QSO Today Virtual Ham Expo is a weekend of virtual seminars, and that's at the end of March. Next hospital drill, Bruce might be able to tell us what's been discussed, possible dates coming up for the next hospital drill. And that's all I have. KQ6RS, back to Ned.
Very good. Thanks, Rob. Any questions from the team or from the group for Rob?
One question. Do I remember that we get extra points for operating outside during Winter Field Day?
True, yes.
Yeah, that means a lot less to us here than it means to people in, say, Connecticut. But
Very true. Some people are operating in ice flows, wherever they're in the country, and we're sitting around short sleeve shirts in January, boasting about the weather and getting the extra points for being outdoors.
Right.
All right, thanks, Rob. So let's go ahead and quickly do any new member introductions. I think we've gotten enough time into the meeting so far. We should be stable as far as participants. If we've got anyone that's new to the group, new to the organization, first time in a meeting, I know it's not live, but it is Zoom. Or if this happens to be new membership that you've just joined, this would be the right time to wave your hand, raise your hand in Zoom. If you don't know how to do that, pop on the video perhaps, wave a hand in front of your camera. We will try to find you and get you to introduce yourself, tell us who you are, where you're from, what your interests in ARES are, and the organization. Anyone new?
I'll introduce myself.
Jump right
This
in.
is all, I've been a participant for a year or two, but this is on only my second Zoom meeting, so I don't think any of you probably have met me, although at the last Fallbrook ARES, Fallbrook Amateur Radio Club Field Day, I did meet Rob and I think Bruce when you dropped by, but I'm part of the Fallbrook Club. Name is Lee, and I have some lithium battery design sort of PowerPoints that are on the Fallbrook Club. That's kind of my contribution to their technical side. So.
Very good. Thank you for being here. Welcome aboard. Anyone else new to joining the group?
I'll go ahead and go. I haven't, I guess, officially joined, but Jeff Ryder, I'm out in Temecula, Winchester area, newly licensed, and trying to get more involved in emergency operations and things like that. So
very good.
Thanks for having me.
Jeff.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Welcome aboard as well. Anyone else?
Ted? I was just waving to the new members. Hi, guys. Welcome.
All right. So maybe we wrap that up there. Thank you for introductions on that. And welcome everybody once again to the January meeting. Taking a deep breath. It's a brand new year. We have opportunities to go out and excel all over again. And I'm, not one of those gigantic believers in the fact that you push reset at the top of the year and you turn over all kinds of new resolutions and you have that opportunity to start fresh. But I know a lot of folks really do feel like that's their cadence and their window, and that's what they like to go out and do. And let's make 2023 an excellent year. And with that little quote that I found online, and have no idea where it came from, no idea who the author is, no idea what the notion is, but it just made sense, especially in the climate, and I don't mean weather, as you might imagine, that we all seem to have to live in these days. And the quote was, if you want evidence that the world is a terrible place, watch the news and surf the web. But if you want to remember how incredible this planet is, go out into nature. Unlike social media and the news, nature has no incentive to keep us agitated, angry, or anxious. All I could think was, I thought that was rather brilliant. So with that, I think amateur radio has a place as well. Amateur radio should keep us engaged in a friendly way, keep us engaged from the perspective of continuous learning, about technologies, about how we can play with different aspects of the hobby and radio, what we can go out and do for our communities to recontribute our efforts and our capabilities and abilities. It's a teaching practice as well. We can go out and bring in new amateur radio operators, young and old. Yeah, I think amateur radio dovetails very nicely into the quote. So there's opportunities for all of that. The announcements for January on my side, let's start off with the hospital drill. Hospital drill that is coming up, that's imminent, is February the 2nd. It's a Thursday, and it's not a standard state drill. It is a California OES drill. California OES drill that is still very much in the morphing phases, if you will. Hate to say that, but like many of these drills, until you get to about the week before the event, you don't necessarily know exactly what the details, the depth, and the components of the drill will actually end up being. And that's just the way this one is as well. There was a meeting that was scheduled for this week because of the short dwell time before the event actually occurred. We were stacked up with meetings every week up until the event. And this week's meeting was canceled for reasons that we don't know, but they asked that any of the injects from any of the participating agencies were dropped into the event. So for those that may not remember the last time we had an OES drill, these are relatively different from the state required certification drills for healthcare. The OES drills typically involve elements of law enforcement, and in some cases very heavily, as well as public services and other public and community related support groups. Hospitals are not necessarily part of that structure, and hospitals are usually dropped in the mix, if you will, as a component, but it isn't one of the primary focuses of the event. OES, like our group involved in the hospital and some of the other events, has been on hiatus, if you will, and they've been on pause because of COVID. They haven't been able to go out and conduct their exercises. So this one probably feels, because of that, a little bit more like they are dropping everything in there to say that they've done an annual drill that was OES driven, OES centric, brings in all aspects of law enforcement in the various divisions, and covers a lot of the federal and government things. And they're probably trying to do it all in one fell swoop so they can go out and check the right boxes and say that they've done their drill and they've had their participation from all of the regular players that OES would engage. So after saying all of that, we have had a couple of hospitals that are engaged in this drill ask for ARES, but there is no inject and no aspect of the drill that I have seen or have been made aware of yet that would include a communication backup or communication resiliency or redundancy effort, which would be us. So we've got 1 or 2 sites. We've got 1 Sharp and 1 Scripps at this point that are asking for area support. I probably will have far more information on this after the meeting coming up in this next week. And we can start planning for what that is, what we want to do, things like that. I'm fairly confident the ask for areas in this particular event is more to do team introductions between the ARES team or ARES folks, probably more of a, again, introductory event for some of the new staff. As most of you know, when we have even the annual drills, there's often very high turnover in the incident command staff at the hospitals that utilize our services. So it's not unusual to go out and have an event even 2 times in the same year and see different folks at a site or at a facility working the event. So it's always good to go out and see the new faces, always good to talk about what ARES does, always good to be able to go out and do demonstrations. And again, we'll have more information as we get to that. There's also a regular planned state event for the month of May, and there's no information on this yet, not even, as I recall, a firm date. I think I've seen 2 dates on it. And they are also planning on having a fall drill. My understanding is probably instead of the month of November, they are, at last time that I saw any updates or info, target date will probably be somewhere mid to late September, where we usually used to see those occur in the month of November. Again, any updates, we will get them out to the group well in advance. So we've got our volunteers in our groups and areas ready. Any questions on that so far? Okay. Dave mentioned, Rob mentioned, this is from an ARRL, I guess, promotional perspective to promote amateur radio, and absolutely to promote what we do to a degree in ARES. Volunteer of the year is the theme. And I was going to say I like the theme. I think volunteers in amateur radio don't always get a lot of recognition, but then again, we're not out there for the publicity either. We're out there to help and serve community. But as I like to go out and reiterate often, my intention with amateur radio is always make sure that the individual, that's the amateur radio operator, is the first person on the list to take care of. Got to take care of yourself. And that includes not just taking care of yourself and being safe, but certainly first and foremost that you are knowledgeable about the use of your radio equipment. You know how to use your own gear. You can perhaps set up in a mobile location or outside of your home if that's your normal operating station or location. You've got the capabilities to go out and get on the radio, use the radio efficiently and effectively, and most importantly, to help yourself as needed along with family, and then cascading to possibly your neighbors if they need help. And then after you get from the personal, family, neighbors, if you've got the bandwidth and you've got the capability, then you can go out and work with ARES. Yes, Dave, volunteers on the air. Sorry if I said it wrong. Early in the morning, my first cup of coffee has not been injected properly. ARES is after yourself, after you've taken care of your family, after you've helped out neighbors as needed. Then if you've got the cycles, the bandwidth, the capabilities, then we would always, as the need might occur, want you to go out and help out with ARES as we get a call for duty, if you will. So volunteers on the air is a good thing. I was kind of thinking, I think our theme might be for us, especially locally and in our neighborhoods, if you will. How about neighbors on the air? How about a theme where we go out and bring in new folks? Maybe they're amateur radio operators already, but get them engaged where maybe they haven't been engaged. Go out and look at the license that they've got. Because honestly, I can go out and pull up a quick list of folks that are in my zip code, and it's pretty easy to determine who I think has been on the air that I've heard lately. And even easier in some cases to go out and take a look at the antennas and see that maybe those antennas haven't been maybe as maintained as they could. And maybe there's someone that's not on the air anymore, but maybe they're just sitting there kind of waiting for a nudge to get back on the air. I've actually kind of taken that to heart in my own personal case. I've got 2 neighbors that have been licensed as technicians. They are still active as amateur radios in an ARRL and in a FCC database, but they're both coming up for renewals here in 30 to 90 days. And I've knocked on doors, chatted with them, and over the years they've chatted with me as well, just because they walk the neighborhood, ride bikes by, do things like that. And I've been talking to both of them, trying to go out and get them engaged. And it looks like I'm going to be able to go out and bring two people that might have been on the sidelines, or hey, they went out and did it to have a license, be able to legally operate a radio, but then never really pursued it any further than that. And it doesn't have to be ARES. It could just be getting on the air. It could just be learning how to go out and get on the radio community, if you will, and do things like that. And so we're going to be driving it that way and trying to get some other local involvement. And you know what? Maybe at some point they'll get involved with ARES or one of the services or the other groups that ARES volunteers are sometimes asked to go out and support, whether that's REACT or one of the other teams here locally. So with that, I don't really have any additional announcements. The fielded comments that I've heard from the group regarding what's happening potentially with renewal of the county badges. We have some limited information on that. Apparently, since COVID and since some of the county groups have reorganized, they've got a new process for that. I've been engaged with our folks at the San Diego Medical Operations Center, the disaster mock, if you will. They are going to find out what it will take to either refresh or run new ARES folks that we have certified and qualified to be entitled to that badge if they wish to apply. What the process will be, we'll probably know that in the next month to 2 months. As well as drills, the MOC for most that were on board previously before we hit COVID might have actually worked or been at the Grantville location for that. The facilities have moved. Facilities are currently in Kearney Mesa. And there was a question mark about how temporary or permanent those might be. Looks like after they've been there 2 years, as the joke was made by them very recently in a meeting, it looks like after being there 2 years, it's not quite as temporary as they thought. And it looks like they're probably going to be there for the next couple of years, but there is a planned move after that to a different location. Fortunately, that different location sounds like it will be in exactly the same building, but on the opposite side of the building on the same floor. So that's all good news. What that means for them, as well as ARES, is that now we're being asked again, and I am working with them to develop how we reestablish the radio room presence that we had at Grantville in the new building, and what it is we're going to go out and get stood up by their request from the county and county radio support to go out and get the radio room reprovisioned for us. They are actually hoping that we will be able to at least participate in a limited way in the February 2nd event. So I want to talk to maybe a couple of volunteers about that. Again, most of the February 2nd event will probably be introductions to staff, perhaps some, if you will, using the term show and tell to demonstrate capabilities, but there aren't any firm injects, again, at this point, or demand specifically for the drill components that relate to ARES. So I'm thinking perhaps maybe a mini wind leak drill. And again, demonstrate to folks that may not have ever seen this before, et cetera, what the capabilities are, what we can go out and do, what services we can provide, and how we can certainly provide them with a communication component that they don't have readily available. And that's all I have for local announcements at this time. Any questions? All right, if we're not seeing any, Rob,
Bruce.
Dave, yes,
Didn't your call sign change?
that's not important right now.
Okay.
It did, and the reason why it's still displayed that way is because the ARRL forwarding still uses my original one. There are some dynamics around, as I'm learning, what happens when you change your call sign and you've used your maybe previous call sign for a long time using forwarding mechanisms. There are some dynamics at play we're still trying to sort out, and I use that as a moniker, because if you try to send something to my real call sign at the ARRL address, it'll bounce. It's not set up as a forwarder yet. But thank you for asking. All right, folks, if no other questions, back to Dave, back to Rob, we can go ahead and move into the main presentation, and then we can follow that with the EC related components of today's meeting.
Nothing else for me.
Oh, nothing else from me.